Okay, if we're talking weight and Alabama players, let's go on the opposite end of the spectrum, right? Deontay is way up here, and people want to know, what is DeVonta Smith's weight? How much do you think whatever DeVonta Smith weighs really matters?
I agree. I mean, I said last year, if he entered last year's draft, he's the first Alabama receiver selected. He's not as fast as Henry Ruggs, but he's fast.
No one is.
Yeah. He's not as creative or as quick as Jerry Jeudy, but he does enough to create yardage, and he's better in space. It had a phenomenal year. I'm seeing a lot, and I've talked to people in the league, seeing a lot of unforced errors from DeVonta Smith. It didn't really have to come to this. The guy gives a great speech after winning the Heisman, saying how, this should be the model for kids who were told they were too small or too slow. You can do it. Then he goes to the Senior Bowl and he won't step on the scale. Didn't need to do that. Didn't even need to show up at the Senior Bowl. Doesn't work out yesterday, then says in an interview after the workout, I'm not going to participate in Alabama's pro day. I may do something on my own later on. Again, unnecessary, unforced errors. We know he's a tremendous receiver. He projects well to the next level. Maybe not for every system, but he's going to be a quality NFL receiver. I just think there's a lot of unforced errors and a lot of unnecessary things that he's doing, which he really shouldn't be doing, which I don't know it's going to hurt him in war rooms, but it's going to be a topic of conversation, and there's going to be questions asked.
Well, the other interesting thing about him, if you look at him, I think he weighed in 170 pounds, and the Ravens took a Hollywood Brown in 2019 who weighed 166. So he'd be the second lightest receiver ever taken in the first round of the draft since 1999. But we've seen players at that weight be very successful. Marvin Harrison was extremely slight, for years up until Mike Thomas got the record. He had the single season reception record for most grabs in a season, and of course has a gold jacket in Canton, Ohio. T.Y. Hilton, who has just re-signed and is staying with the Colts, has also had success. So I don't think the weight necessarily is going to dictate whether or not he's successful. To your point, it's going to be how elusive can he be. Like Alvin Kamara is a tiny human being, but I call him the cephalopod because I feel like he just is sort of able to squirm and worm his way around defenders. I feel like nobody ever gets a really good shot on him. So to me, the weight of DeVonta Smith isn't as important as his ability to avoid those giant hits.
He plays more like Marvin Harrison than Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown's a guy that needed space to work, and he basically beats you with speed. DeVonta Smith beats you with polished pass-catching skills. He's an outstanding route runner. He shows great awareness. He knows how to separate. He knows how to find the open spot in the defense. He's a guy who, even though he's 170 pounds, he'll get up in a crowd and fight to come down with the ball. Does all those things very well. I mean, again, you're right, but these questions about his size and everything else are basically of his own doing because he goes to the Senior Bowl and won't step on the scale, and then he's saying this about it and that about it. Unnecessary because he is such an outstanding receiver.
Well, the other thing that's really interesting is how can you get a good evaluation for Alabama players, right? Because you mentioned it. Last year we had Jerry